one of the most important wine-producing regions in all of Italy. You don't really think about all of the science and thought that goes behind to make that slice that you find in a pizzeria.
It's really a lifelong passion.
When should I add the glazes if I use them on the pizza?
Ciao amici, I'm Master Leo Spizzirri, Director of Education for the Pizza University and Culinary Arts Center. Today, we've got another episode of Pizza Chat, and I'm so excited to have someone I consider one of my industry friends, but actually personal friends. Her name is Kim Sayid, and she's from a company called Ponti. Yeah. Kim, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm so excited because we never really have this opportunity to interact one-on-one and just kind of chill out and talk about food. And that's, I think, what we're all about.
My favorite topic.
It is my favorite topic. And, you know, here at Pizza University, and actually myself personally, we take a lot of pride in selecting authentic products, not even just from Italy, but from all over the world. And we bring in the best products, obviously, to make the best food and, you know, to serve to our guests. And I think that's the best thing about our relationship together is that I think that you have that same kind of philosophy and drive when it comes to food and food products.
Absolutely. That's why we partner with the Pizza University. It's an honor for us not only to partner with Francesco and Enzo, but also with all of his colleagues and the other brands that you represent as well.
That's great. I think for our viewers, the people who are going to be seeing this, can you give us a little bit of a background of maybe where Ponti started?
Of course. So Ponti is uniquely a 9th generation family-owned company. They've been making vinegars for almost 240 years. They're based in the same town where they started 240 years ago, which is Gemme in Piedmont. It's probably about half hour west of the Milan airport. Today we have actually 5 plants, however, spread throughout Italy. Of course, one close to Modena, where we make all of our balsamics, and the other 4 are primarily in northern Italy.
This is really amazing when you talk about the geography of Italy and the production of vinegar, because I think that the one that everybody right away knows about when they think about balsamic vinegar is Modena. Yeah. But you mentioned these 4 other areas, and especially specifically the northern parts of Italy. Was there a reason why the company has expanded in that direction?
Well, so being headquartered and based in Piedmont, obviously Piedmont is one of the most important wine-producing regions in all of Italy and has been historically and continues to be today. So starting actually out with wine vinegar, it makes sense that they started in Piedmont, which was the foundation of the company, Wine Vinegars. As we expanded, we were able to also purchase a plant in the Modena area, which is the only area that IGP balsamic vinegar of Modena can be produced in and can come from. So that kind of, was the reason why we started out in northern Italy with wine vinegars, expanding also into apple cider vinegars and apple production primarily from the north of Italy, and then of course to Modena area for the balsamic vinegar.
Kim, one of the things as a chef that I see, especially when we're teaching, right? Yeah. I have a lot of students that as soon as you start talking about vinegar, their mind automatically goes to a salad. And I think that for the line that you have, it seems like the company spent a lot of time focusing on the evolution of not just vinegar and to all of these other amazing products that you offer. Can you talk a little bit about your feeling about this?
Sure. And first of all, you're absolutely right. When people think of vinegar, the first thing they think of are, dressings and marinades, pretty much it. So in the summertime, sales go up because people use them for pasta salads or marinating meat for barbecues. And that's really the high season. But vinegars in general are so much more. They can really go from, I like to say from breakfast to dessert. Something, for example, we have in front of us here, just a few of the products like the cherry condiment or a high density balsamic or beautiful, even like on granola with yogurt and fruit parfait. So you can put it on desserts and also cakes, gelato, any kind of cheesecake, panna cotta, things like that. You can put it in cocktails. Any of these are beautiful in cocktails. You can put them, of course, for finishing risotto or pastas, fish, meat. vegetables, really anything in any eating occasion.
I have a lot of different applications that I use your products on, and we use them here in the school, obviously, with a lot of different applications. You mentioned the cherry, and to me, that cherry balsamic is amazing. It's one of my favorites in the line. I'm huge. Everybody knows I love the orange, the high density, as another one. Is almost for me as a replacement to the glaze. As I love that. I love the way that it doesn't run, but I love the way that it has the appearance on my food. And I think that when we talk about the impression of balsamic glaze in the United States, especially when you see it on a pizza or the famous drizzle on a caprese salad, right? That thick, dark, syrupy, sometimes I would even say there might be fructose, all these other, sugary sweet things. Your products are very different than that. They don't seem like they're artificial or commercial.
Well, I would say Ponti, since the very beginning, has had a tremendous, is unique for many reasons. One of them is this tremendous inherent respect for nature, for land, for people, for ingredients. So much so that we were actually the first vinegar company on the planet to apply for B Corp status, which really goes hand in hand with those types of principles and beliefs. So what you're going to find in our products are always and only all natural ingredients. We don't add sugar to anything. Of course, grapes and everything is at the base of grapes here, or apples, inherently have sugar in them. And those are the only ones that you find in our products. On the glaze that you mentioned specifically, we actually were the first company in Italy to also, commercialize balsamic glaze. And today we're still the leader after, 3 decades, basically.
That's amazing.
Our product is very different because we add no sugar, and you really, no matter, not only glaze, but every item is always representing the perfect balance of sweet and sour. Oftentimes people think of, we just came to the US, so before that, whatever you had here, oftentimes had maybe a lot of sugar added or almost no sugar added, maybe it was unbalanced, maybe really tart, really sour, without that right proportion. And I think that in many cases could have left a bad taste for a lot of people. You taste a bad olive oil and you say, oh, I don't like olive oil. You taste a bad, fish and you say, oh, I don't like fish. Really impressionable, especially in the beginning when you start tasting food. And it's the same on balsamic vinegar and any kind of vinegar. And then a lot of people don't go back to them. But we're slowly trying to change people's minds and doing demos and tastings and letting them taste these products in their raw state. So you don't have bread and other garlic, to hide or mask those flavors.
The thing that I was impressed also when I watched your entry into America, I knew of Ponti and used Ponti balsamic specifically, the big 1 liter bottle. And while I was in Italy, I studied in Italy. I spent so much time there. So I recognized the brand from there. But then to see it here in the United States go from a food service item where this was being marketed, let's say, to restaurants, but then to be able to go to the local grocery store and find it in a well-stocked Italian section even of a grocery store is another thing that's amazing, because it gives this product that accessibility of something true, traditional, that's used today in Italy, that anybody can find, again, in a nice, well-stocked grocery store.
Yeah, we've been in the U.S. probably about 5 years now, I want to say. We're still in the infancy stage and growing slowly. And for us, equally important is retail as well as food service. So of course, we definitely want to be able to have our customers find our products where they shop, but we're also really trying to show that these products are great, aside from dressings and marinades, in other recipes. And oftentimes chefs or pizzerias or restaurants are the ones that set those trends and show people that's okay. So we've been really pushing a lot with restaurants and chefs to launch and introduce the products.
I have a funny story, because whenever we're in class, I can talk about all the styles of pizza and all different types of food. Yeah. And there's always one question everybody wants to ask me is, oh, Leo, what's your favorite pizza, right? Or what style of pizza is your favorite, right? And I always answer that question over and over, the same every single time. Yeah. You're around vinegar all day long.
Yeah.
Out of these, I know you're trying to say these are all my children, but which is your favorite? What do you like?
Well, of course, it depends what I'm eating. Because certain products are better with different foods and different applications. If we're talking about breakfast, as I said, I would use the cherry condiment because I love it on granola and yogurt and fruit. If we were talking about, later in the day, maybe after 5 o'clock, if we're talking about having a cocktail like a spritz or a Negroni, cherry condiment all the way. If we're talking about my favorite pizza, which is a Neapolitan with arugula and cherry tomatoes, then I'm going to go with the chili pepper glaze on it. So
wow, that's a ringer. I would never
really
expect to see that one.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm so happy this week we're together, and I noticed the jacket that you're wearing.
I'm a student.
Kim this week is a student with us. We get to see Kim all the time in our classes because when we need an expert to come in and talk about ingredients, we go to the manufacturers and have them come in, not all the time just to talk about their brand, but to have them talk as an industry expert. And we always have Kim here or other people from Ponti calling in or actually doing demonstrations here on the production of vinegar. And this week we have the honor and pleasure to have you as one of our students.
Thank you.
What was it like? Is this your first time with your hands in flour making pizza?
I mean, during COVID, I made a little bit of pizza, but nothing like this. This has the only word that comes to my mind is wow, because I have even more respect now for pizzaioli and pizzerias. It's unbelievable, like what I've learned in these first 2 days. The amount of variables and factors, and it's overwhelming. It's a lot.
It's a lot of work, and the people who do this, as long as we have do it, it's really a lifelong passion. And at the end of the day, we do this to give back and to continue to support our industry. And it's amazing to have you here with us and to see maybe a small peek behind the curtain, in 3 days.
It's a very small peek, but it has been wow. Again, that's my only word. Wow.
What was one thing, if you could say there's one thing so far in 2 days that is going to leave the biggest impression on you walking out these doors, what would it have been?
The DDT.
Desired dough temperature. Desired dough temperature is probably one of the, we talk about time and temp. This is pretty cool because we talk about time and temperature all the time.
I was blown away by that.
Dough. But I also know that in your world, when you're making these types of things, time and temperature is also critical.
It's all about time.
Yes, and it's more of an artisan thing. When you start talking about temperature and its effect, you're making grapes into vinegar, right?
Yeah.
Wine grapes you just talked about, and this is a really important thing. So to hear that was your number one is incredible.
Only because of how intricate it is, and I think as a consumer of pizzas up until now so far, who knows the future, you don't really think about all of the science and thought that goes behind to make that slice that you find in a pizzeria. And it gives me a tremendous appreciation for great pizza, but it also gives me a new way to really identify bad pizza and when people are not qualified to make pizza. So I feel great actually after these 2 days.
You feel great because the pizzas that you've eaten are light and airy and digestible, and then
I feel great also mentally and more powerful since I eat pizza so often when I go to eat that pizza.
That's right.
That I can appreciate it better for what it is and what it isn't. I
love that. We have a lot of different types of students, and we have a lot of different instructors come through. You're part of a group this week that is with the Women in Pizza, which is the supporting of women pizza makers in our industry. And the two instructors that this is their second time teaching this class here, you have Laura Meyer and Leah Skirtle, who are both very accomplished pizzaiolas in our industry. And for those who don't know, Laura Meyer came from the school and was mentored by Tony Gemignani. And if you've seen any of your recent marketing and support as ambassadorship, Tony Gemignani has been a very big part now in the Ponti brand. Can you talk a little bit about Tony and his story and how that, it seems like it's such a nice match between the way Tony came up and then him getting an ingredient in his hands like this?
Yeah, so we actually just started focusing on the pizza industry 2 or 3 years ago with our new line of pizza glazes 2 years ago. And we met Tony in the very beginning when we were doing the Pizza Expo. So it was the first time exhibiting at the Pizza Expo. And he's like a movie star when he walks down the aisle and everyone is, just gets your pen and you want him to autograph something for you. And so I, of course, went up to him also, and I was talking to him about Ponti, and he knew Ponti already, which, just starting in the pizza industry was also like, wow, you know Ponti already? And he said that he actually didn't have a preferred vinegar at the time, and he would love to try Ponti. So he started actually purchasing the product through some of our distributors in Northern California. And it just kind of exploded from there. Then we made this agreement and this partnership, and now he's also, obviously our representative for Ponti in the pizza industry. But I think the fit was natural because for a few reasons. One, obviously, as he says also in the video, his is a family company based on his family influence that he shares with his family and grows his family through pizza. And Ponti is obviously a 9th generation family-owned company, so very oriented and circled around the family and their influence. So that's one big thing. Second is his extreme requirement for super high-quality, authentic products. And the same thing with Ponti. In Italy, Ponti is the number one brand in every single category of vinegar. We're the leader in glazes, in condiments, in balsamic, in apple cider vinegar, you name it. Sometimes when you're the biggest one and the leader, people consider it mainstream. But it's amazing when you go into the company and see it could be mainstream and it can be very large, but the amount of attention and focus to detail and quality. Every single wine vinegar, we buy the wine and turn it into vinegar. We don't just buy wine vinegar. For the apple cider vinegars, we buy the apples and then turn it into cider and then turn that into vinegar, instead of just buying cider on the open market. There is complete control on quality in every step, whether we're big or small. And I think, so those are two of the biggest similarities between Ponti and Tony Gemignani that I see.
And I was actually, Tony's one of my mentors. We started very young. I've got photos of Tony and I pre-tattooed, if you want to think of how long Tony and I were there. I was in one of his very first classes when he came back to the United States as a master instructor. And Tony was the one who pushed me in the direction to get sponsored to go to the school in Italy and become a master instructor myself. So as far as recognizing who the top people in our industry are, there is no doubt that Tony has been a pioneer for the industry, a huge influence on every pizza maker that's out there. Absolutely. And to see his involvement with Ponti, I think speaks huge miles to say the product has to be amazing for Tony to put his name on it. So I think this is all, everything just keeps going back to the top of the company is a very amazing company. Why did we choose Ponti to come along with us through our journey at Pizza University, and then to be able to offer these great ingredients and experiences to our students, where you coming in and doing a vinegar tasting is like a sommelier would put on a wine tasting of all the different types of vinegar and trying them in order based from, let's say, maybe lightest to strongest. And it's really amazing to see the detail that you work at and that you present your products at. And again, it's amazing for myself and for Pizza University to have you here with us.
Thank you. It's always an honor for me to be here also, Leo. The one thing I would add to that is it's interesting when we do those tastings, because we also always bring competitive samples, and we always bring the leading competitive samples. And when people taste them, this is what America is buying today.
That's right.
They're blown away. And it's really important to have that, that wow, that's what I'm buying. So I wanted to ask you actually, Leo, a lot of times people come up to, or pizzerias and pizzaioli ask us for suggestions. What is a creative pizza that I can add to my menu? When should I add the glazes if I use them on the pizza? Before, after, under the arugula, on top of the arugula, for example. So we tried to answer to the best of our knowledge, but of course I would like to know what you do and what you teach here.
I treat these products in two ways. Okay. Is it in a preparation or is it in finishing? Okay? And I think the great thing about your products is that they're interchangeable to a certain point. In the fact that if I was going to do it in a preparation, for example, maybe I'm going to marinate some cherry tomatoes, and that cherry tomato is then going to end up on top of a pizza to finish. There's going to be other things added to that to make it as one component. So that ingredient changes in its complexity as it cooks, because as all these products warm up, the aromatic, the perfume, it blooms, it becomes more present. Or I've seen in your demonstrations when you tell everybody, like, hold the product to your nose and let the vapors really get in there so you can actually smell what's in there. So to use it in that respect, when I cook with it, I use that same mentality of, when am I going to use this? Now, things like a heavy balsamic, let's say a glaze, for example, something like this, if we were going to be taking that glaze, putting it on top of a pizza and going into a 900-degree wood-fired oven, obviously it's not the best application, because two things, it's going to caramelize and burn. And then the other thing is too, it's almost going to create an off flavor because it's heated to the extreme. So in that case, a glaze or any of these vinegars here, I would use as a topical when they come out of the oven, and I would select them based on their flavor profile.
Okay.
Yeah, so really in a sauce, when I use it, but I will say this, there's been plenty of times when I've added things like apple cider vinegar, for example, into a sauce. Sometimes a little bit of acidity actually opens things up even more.
Or gives some depth and complexity.
Exactly, and we see this a lot even with, let's say, good extra virgin olive oil. If you have good extra virgin olive oil in this particular case, which vinegar and oil go hand in hand, right? But let's say you've got a good peppery
Tuscan extra virgin olive oil.
Yeah, where you get it in the back of your throat, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, using that pepper as a tool of, could I put this on top of, I don't know, it could be even something that's cream-based, like a gelato, like we talked about putting balsamic on top of gelato or sorbetto. It actually just opens it up and brings those flavors out even more. So with that respect, a lot of these ingredients become better if they're sometimes warmed a little bit, or trying them outside of the box. A cherry balsamic on top of something maybe cream based or has those notes, pork, things like this, they work beautifully.
Cherry, even a stracciatella or burrata is beautiful.
Absolutely.
The chili pepper on chocolate cake, chocolate molten cake is wonderful.
I have to try that one.
Yeah. Even the fig glaze on mortadella is beautiful.
I use a lot of fig and a lot of the truffle. It actually tastes like truffle. It doesn't taste commercialized or sometimes like synthetic. And I think that's a big thing.
Oftentimes they are.
Yeah.
We use actually black truffle juice.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So everybody, on behalf of me, Leo Spizzirri, the entire Pizza University and Culinary Arts Center team, I'd like to thank you, Kim, for being here with us and spending this time with us and being such a great supporter of what we do.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.